Hi, everyone, and welcome to @Couric, coming to you today from the set of the CBS Evening News. Very fancy. You know, some people know him as Dirty Harry. Meanwhile, younger viewers may just know him as the director of some blockbuster films like $1 Million Baby or The Changeling. He's actually both and a whole lot more. I recently sat down with Clint Eastwood ahead of the release of his latest movie, Hereafter. Here's our conversation, and as always, I'd like to thank the sponsor of our web show, Dove. First of all, Clint, welcome back to CBS.
Thank you. It's good to be back.
Should we explain why I'm saying welcome back to CBS? This is where it all began.
This is where it all began. Actually, see, Rawhide in 1959 was a CBS production. And I was under contract to CBS for 7 years.
If it's Mr. Favor, you better start with me.
I think about you in Rawhide, and I look at you today, and I think, wow, what an extraordinary career you've had.
Well, it was a great time. It's been a good lark. I've had no complaints.
A lark. Well, you've had such a productive life, and you've done so much, and you're still going so strong. You turned 80.
I did.
Last May.
I did.
And
you didn't have to bring that up.
Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry. But you show absolutely no sign of slowing down.
You know, I think if you enjoy what you're doing and you learn something new every day, of which I do, and then you're okay. If you keep busy, then the years don't mean anything. But if you sort of give up and just say, well, I'm just going to sit here next to a stream with a can of beer, then it becomes, you kind of say, well, you're just kind of giving up. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. I mean, that sounds appealing at times, but not all the time.
Let's talk about your latest movie.
Hereafter. I don't even do this anymore.
Were you inspired at all to do this movie? Because at 80 and heck at 53, you tend to think a little more about your own mortality and what happens next?
I don't know if that's the case. I've had several people bring that up, but I don't know if that's the case. I think I would have done this story at 40 or 35, because I like the story.
Your brother, I'm telling you, he's really for real. You can make money doing this.
For a while, had an office, a website, newspaper articles, even had a book written about him.
So what happened?
Couldn't cope.
The scenes of the tsunami are pretty extraordinary in this movie. And I know that required obviously some special effects, but you kind of aren't a special effects guy in general, right?
Well, I like it. I think it's a very great tool, but special effects are evolving so fast that now you can do some really good things.
You are a notoriously low-tech guy, though. I understand that nothing bugs you more than two people having dinner on their Blackberrys.
Well, you see it all the time. It's amazing when you start seeing, you go to a restaurant and you see two people sitting across from me and they're going on Blackberrys, and you wonder, I wonder if they're just texting each other and they're only 2 feet away. But obviously they're not. You think, God, what a miserable life it must be. You cannot be, and you're just missing so much by just looking at a little thing and doing you're not really absorbing the atmosphere around you or the people around you.
Not living in the moment.
You're not living in the moment, and I don't know how you'd be able to be a writer or a director or anything, or an actor if you were engrossed like that, because you would just never be in that moment.
Let's talk about your directing, because it seems to me you're known now, today, more for your directing than your acting. Of course, your acting is legendary as well, but you've directed so many movies, I think 8 movies in the last 7 years. Do you enjoy directing more than acting at this point in your career?
Absolutely, yeah. It was original plan 40 years ago when I did Play Misty. For me, I thought, I'm not going to want to watch this guy up on the screen that long, so I'll just direct a few films and see if I can do that, maybe you won't have to worry about that.
Some people say that your film choices are a way for you to say to the world, there's a lot more to me than Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry was fun. It was fun to play. It was, at the time it came out, people were having thoughts that maybe the interest of the accused was more important than the victims.
You gotta ask yourself a question. Do I feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
It was great to do. I mean, it's far out and stylized, but that was then. Now is now.
Go ahead. Make my day.
How many people come up to you and ask you to say, go ahead, make my day?
Quite a few.
Is it annoying?
It's not annoying, but I don't say it.
You don't?
No.
Would you do it for me?
You'd be tough to resist.
Okay.
Go ahead, make my day.
Thank you, Clint. You know, I get to interview a lot of accomplished people, but even just looking at all the titles of your movies, it's really just a wonderful collection of films. And when you look back on your movies, do you have one that really struck a chord for you? You must have some that stand out more than others. Is there one or two you really loved and maybe a couple you really hated?
Well, I would prefer to probably ignore anything I really hated, but I think a turning point for me was in the early 90s. I did Unforgiven.
I'll see you in hell, William Money.
Which was, I had done it other westerns and other genre films, but that picture took a different, it was a very interesting script and a way to do characters in a western that was quite a bit different. Then through the 90s, I did A Perfect World, which I enjoyed doing, you know, up through Bridges, Madison County, all that kind of stuff. And then, but in the 2000s is where I just, was doing things that were quite a bit different, even to the point where I'd take the invasion of Iwo Jima and do it from the Japanese point of view as well as the American point of view, because I just felt that as I studied the American point of view, I thought the Japanese soldier, all kids, you know, this young kids, 15, 16, 18 years old, being sent to an island and said, defend this island and don't plan on coming back. I figure that psychologically that'd be a tough call, a tough addition. And I think now at this point in history, it was a time when you could kind of discuss it from the other person's point of view. And so I think that was a picture that I enjoyed doing. And we started from scratch on that one. Didn't have a script or anything, just the idea. And everything kind of fell into place. And Million Dollar Babies and stuff, you know, these are all hard sells. Mystic River, they were hard sells because they weren't in the genres I was involved with in the early days. And you know, everybody says, well, who the hell wants to do boxing movie, lady boxing movies, you know, of all things. And there was another lady boxing movie that had come out that hadn't done well, but it was a pretty good movie. I said, but this isn't a boxing movie. It's actually a father-daughter love story. And you know, but you try to sell those things. It's hard to sell sometimes, even after you've done a lot of movies. But eventually you sell them, and then when they come out and they do well, and you're pleased with that.
I can't imagine that many of your movies at this point are hard sells, if you believe in them.
Some of them are. I mean, not really. I mean, but they're some of them are harder. Some of them, okay, we'll do it, but do it at half that price, or no price. So you end up going back and say, hey, I just want to make the movie. So well, if it does well, you can pay me at the other end. If it doesn't, then nothing ventured, nothing gained.
What are the real clunkers that you look back on and think, ugh, kind of cringeworthy? Any? What was the one with the orangutan?
Well, that was a big hit.
Right turn, Clyde.
Was that one of your favorites?
Every Which Way But Loose. Well, it was at the time I thought it was kind of I was much younger. I thought it was kind of a hip idea, a guy who had a pal is a orangutan and he can't find, he's a failure at romance and everything, but he's and he, you know, telling your life story to an orangutan was, that was fun. Yeah, it's fun. It was just outrageous enough for me to do. I mean, because I'm kind of an outrageous person.
You are?
Yeah.
I don't see that, but okay.
Well, I mean, I try crazy things, so I'd say that's maybe somebody who is more conservative on the script choices would have probably taken something a little more
Heft.
Yeah, but I just figured I'd try everything.
So you have
especially
no
in those
regrets,
days.
really, about any of the films you've done?
No, you can't have regrets. I don't think you can. You can't. It's regrets in life. I mean, if you go back, start picking out things in life, whether it's everything from movies to just the way you handle certain things. You naturally do everything different at a different time as you have the ability to look back on it. But you can't really do that. You have to kind of go with what you have, the knowledge you have now.
Who was the biggest pain to work with?
The biggest pain?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I can't think. I don't sit around and think about who was the biggest pain.
You weren't exasperated and annoyed with anybody you've worked with?
There's been one or two, but I've never had actors give me a hard time.
They probably walk in and have a lot of respect. They're probably a little afraid of you, don't you think?
I don't know.
Intimidated?
I don't think so. They shouldn't be, but I'm just there to be the gentle person that I am.
I think Matt Damon was saying how great you are with kids and with the boys in this latest movie.
Well, kids are a challenge because if a kid's had a lot of adult training, the adults want them to act like they think kids are. It's usually the cliche of what kids are. You don't get the chance to really be themselves, and kids are such natural actors anyway. But so I just try to get kids that are the right frame for the kids and then try to work with them from scratch.
If you had to pick one film that you're proudest of, would there be one?
No, I don't dwell on those. I mean, it's not like I'm sitting up with Blu-ray at night going, hey, Clint.
That was damn good.
I kind of, I don't dwell on those. I just kind of move on. So whatever I'm doing right now is doing this. I'm doing Hoover, and that's fine.
You're working on a movie now that will star Leo DiCaprio, and that must be kind of an exciting project for you about J. Edgar Hoover.
It is. It's an exciting project because of Hoover's life. First place, he's famous for his idiosyncrasies, but he was the most powerful guy in the country for a long time. He could choose who would be political candidates and stuff. He chose Lyndon Johnson to be the Vice President of the United States. He's an interesting character, and yet it's not that you ever solve a character like that, but you can just present him and then see what people think.
Complicated man.
A complicated man, yeah.
Where are you the happiest? Behind the camera on a movie set, sitting in the cockpit of your helicopter, or standing on the first tee at Pebble Beach?
That's a tough question. They're all nice moments. I mean, they can be nice moments. Though after the first shot at Pebble Beach, you might be very disappointed. In a movie, if the first shot doesn't work, you'll work on it till it does work. So that might be a little more pleasant.
What about sitting in the cockpit of your helicopter?
Oh, that's great, because flying a helicopter is great because the views are spectacular. and you can go anywhere, and you're just a number in the sky.
You were interested in politics for a number of years. I know you were mayor of Carmel,
Yeah.
California. Would you ever have any interest in going into politics again? And what do you think about what's going on in the country?
No on the first part of the question, and no on the second part of the question. I think the country is in a very strange period right now, one of the stranger periods that I can remember in my short lifetime. But, and I think that, we've gotten ourselves into a financial mess that is going to be really bad if we're not careful. I mean, it's bad right now, but it's going to be, I don't think there's too many people out there making sense at the moment.
From either party?
It seems like people are becoming political for some sort of notoriety and not for really accomplishing anything. And everybody talks about what they can do. And I guess it becomes it's because everybody is promising so much. In order to get a job as a politician, you have to promise the moon, and you can't deliver the moon. If you come out and you're honest and you say, I can't give you all this stuff, but I can make I can try to make a more organized government for you, whether it's state, county, city, or federal, and if that works out, fine. But you can't just say that, because people go, now, everybody, what are you going to give me? What are you going to give me? What are you going to give me, teachers union or anybody? Any group, they all have their hand out and everybody wants it, and so you've got to appease that hand or you don't get the job, and means you have to lie. It means you have to be a faker to get the job. So you make good speeches, you get the job, but then when it comes right down to it, you get the job. Now what do you do? The old good news. It's good news I got elected, and the bad news I got elected. So how do you handle it? And that's the way it is in almost all of government jobs. I was only the mayor of a small city. You have some of the same obstacles in a small way, but I don't think I lied anything to get the job. But I didn't, and I did it one term and bailed out because I figured one term was fine and there should be somebody else come in. But when you get career people, then it's a whole different deal. You got to go in and lie more the next time to get the job.
Are you a fan of Barack Obama's?
I think he's a nice fella, and I enjoyed his watching him come along, and I enjoyed watching him campaign and win the job, but I'm not a fan of what he's doing at the moment.
Why?
Because I just don't think he's governing. I think he's gotten bad. I don't think he's surrounded himself with the people he could have surrounded himself with, and he's doing just what we were talking about. He's having to just lay out a certain line of that and hope people will believe it so he can stay in the position. I don't think there's anybody I see out there, or many people, that have that kind of discipline, that are willing to really take a chance on losing.
Do you think there will come a time, Clint, when you say, you know what, I'm going to pack it in, I've done a lot of great films, and now I'm going to just sit by that stream and drink that can of beer?
Maybe, but I don't see that sign right now, but I might be. There might be a time when I do that.
But not anytime soon.
I don't think so. You never know. I mean, you just don't know. You get to a certain stage, you just don't know what you're going to feel 20 minutes from now. You might say, I don't want to do this. I don't want to go here or go there. And so, it'd be something you'd have to think about for a long time.
What do you hope people will say about your career and the things that you've been able to do?
Just that he did the best he could. That I never sloughed the job.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Remember, you can follow me on Twitter. My handle is @KatieCouric, and you can see all the episodes of this web show anytime at all at cbsnews.com. And now stay tuned for a message from our sponsor, Dove.